Good noon, guys. I hope I'm visible and audible now. Hi, Shank. Hi, Vaishnav. Good noon. Good noon. Right. So we meet again, and today we are going to talk about vocabulary. Right. So in the previous series, the series that has been going on, we have talked about the 50 must know words, the 500 must know vocabulary words. Today I'm going to approach various words through etymology. Yes? What is etymology? Good noon, Arman. Good noon. Hi, Saket. Hello, Sonali. Good noon. Yes. So, etymon plus logy. Etymon means origin and logy means study. So, what we are going to talk about today is the study of origin of words. Right? And as you can see in the title, we'll talk about root words. So, what exactly are root words? So when we look into the etymology of a word, when we study its origin, we find that a word can be divided into smaller units, right? And the most basic units of these words, they are called roots, the root words, right? And that is what we are going to look at today. Through these root words, we are going to learn some words. We are going to categorize words according to their roots, right? So that's on the agenda today. Hello, Meenakshi. Good afternoon. Good, Arman. And we are going to practice questions in different formats. That is always my endeavor, that I expose you to various question types, varied question types, right? And of course, our aim should be to memorize these words, to not forget these words. Okay, we shouldn't approach vocabulary in a manner that we keep on learning new words and keep forgetting the older ones. That's not a good way to learn words, right? So we will memorize these words. Okay, so as I said, we'll approach through questions. You can see that there's a word given to you. You have to give me its antonym, and you'll see that these words are similar in some sense. So give me the antonym and then we'll discuss how these words are similar. Yes. They're extremely helpful for IFT, Vaishnav. So in IFT, you've not just been asked the meaning of a word, you've been asked the root of that word. You've even been asked which language does this root come from. So IFT has asked etymology in detail in the past. Let's see what you say. Good noon, Ritik. Ishank says 1. Okay. Others. All right. Okay. Ritik says 1. What about others? Come on, just 2 responses for such an easy question. So, good afternoon, Jagan. Diurnal means happening during the day. Okay, diurnal means something happening during the day. It's an adjective. So if I talk about my diurnal activities, I'm talking about the activities that I perform during the day. Now, the opposite is that done during night, activities done during the night. So the opposite is nocturnal. Absolutely correct. Now, this also gives you a hint into the root that we're trying to study through this question. Knocked, knocks. It has become nicked here, right? So what does this knocked and knocks mean? It means night. Okay, it means night. So nocturnal therefore is something happening during the night. Noctambulist. Noctambulist. Ambulance also has ambulist. To amble also has ambulist. Has amb in it. So amble, ambulance. What does this mean? Ambulance helps to carry us from, let's say, a site of injury to the hospital, right? So ambulance helps us to, in a way, walk, we could say, from one place to the other. So actually, if you study word par made easy, it tells you how this word originated. So the patient had to be carried from his or her home to the ambulance, and then the ambulance carried the patient to the hospital. So because of this idea that, some people walked the patient to the ambulance, then some people walked the patient out of the ambulance. So that's why it was called ambulance. It means walk. The root amb here means walk. To amble means to walk aimlessly. To walk aimlessly in a relaxed manner. Right. So for instance, when we go for a stroll, a night stroll, right, we amble at times. Now, why am I telling you this story? Why am I talking to you about this root amb here? Remember, amb is different from ambi. Ambi means both, right? Ambidextrous, ambivert, ambiguous, ambivalent. वो ambi अलग है. Ambi means both, right? And this amb means to walk. So, noctambulist, someone who walks at night. Yes, there are people who sleepwalk at times, right? They are called somnambulists. Somnambulists, people who walk in their sleep. Noctambulist, someone who walks at night. Right? I hope this makes sense. Now, nyctophobic. So this noct has become nicked here. Nyctophobic. Who will be this person who is nyctophobic? Yes. Somebody who is phobic or afraid of the night or the dark. That person is nyctophobic. So if you're afraid of the dark, if you're afraid of night, the night time, then you are nyctophobic. All right. And what is equinox? I'm sure you've studied this concept in, I think, your social sciences in school. Equinox. Correct, Ishank, correct. So, equinox means when we have equal day and night. So, this happens twice a year, that the duration of the day and the night is exactly the same. So, these two events, these 2 days are referred to as equinox, right? And that's why all these don't fit, although all of them belong to this root noct and nox. The one that is the answer is 1. सबको समझ में आ गया? Yes, correct Pranav. Good Indranil, correct. Good Arman. Good. Time of day means, Arman? Where the duration of day and night. So let's say the day is for 6 hours, the night will, the days for, the day lasts 12 hours, night will also last 12 hours. So that's what happens in a 24-hour span. That is called equinox. Okay. All right. Now, synonym. So tell me the synonym of connive. It's a verb. Tell me its synonym. Good, Ritik, good. So, why have you come across them in WordPad Made Easy? Because these are high frequency words, right? So, when I connive with someone, what do? It's a negative word. I collaborate with that person. Yes? Sonali says 2. Okay, others. Okay, Arman says 2. So I also told you that it's a negative word. So can't the answer be 3 then? Ritik says 2. Ishank says 1. Allude. Okay. 2. So mostly I've got 2s. What about others? Where are the others? Yes. Why are the others not responding? Let me just quickly see how many of you are not responding. See, so many of you are not responding. Come on. All right. So I've got 1 and 2 primarily. Now, delude, elude. Collude, allude. So you know that there is a root here, right? There is a root here. The root is ludere. If I give the exact root to you, that root is ludere. Ludere means to play. The name of Ludo, the game Ludo, comes from this root. Okay, it comes from ludere. There is a whole field today called ludology. Have you heard about this field, ludology? So this last sentence is to tell you that Ludo also shares this root, and there is a field called ludology, which means the study of gaming. It is a very popular field these days, right? Gaming has become so popular with the advancement of technology. It's becoming even more and more realistic, right? And it's more and more becoming more and more addictive too. So there's a whole field called ludology where we study gaming, the science of play, right? So all of these also have this word. So now connive is when you collaborate with someone and you plot something, you scheme something, you plan something against someone. That is to connive. So the synonym for that is collude. You are right. 2 is the answer. Again, collusion. You must have heard this, collusion and cartelization, in case you have a commerce or an economics background. So when companies collude with each other, sometimes they want to avoid competition. So instead of competition, they go for collusion. They'll collaborate with each other and they'll keep their prices similar, or they'll keep some other strategy similar, so that a new competitor is not able to enter the market. Okay, or so that they have their collective power, they retain their collective power. So that is to collude. So 2 is a synonym, and it also retains that slightly negative tone. Okay, just like this had a negative tone to it, a negative connotation, this also has that negative tone. Okay, now one of you said allude. When we allude to something, so this is how it is used. You collude with someone, you allude to something. So when we allude to something, what is it that we do? Yes, we hint towards something. So it does not have to do with conniving, it has rather to do with hinting towards something. So let's say that there is a person in your office who is let's say cheating the company, right? But you can't really take the name of that person. So instead of outrightly taking the name, what you can do is you can allude to him or her. You can just hint towards him or her. That is allusion, that is hinting. Okay, so in a way it's a game of sorts. You hint, the other person has to guess. That's why the root ludere here. Okay, so how is collude negative? It's negative because it means when you collaborate or you cooperate with someone in a very secret way, in a very unlawful way, right? That is the meaning of collude. All right, so that's why it's a negative word. The meaning itself is negative. You want to gain advantage over others, you want to deceive someone. That's why. Collision and collusion are different. Collision and collusion are different. See, both have these prefixes con or co, which means together. So in collusion also you come together. In collision, what happens is two objects come together and hit each other. That is collision, right? So while it shares the idea of coming together, the meaning is different. Here you are coming together to cooperate in an unlawful secret way. Here you come together because like it's not probably intended a lot of times, and you hit each other. That's a collision. All right. Okay. How about these two? Delude, elude. So when you delude someone, in a way you've played with them, right? You've deceived them, you've tricked them, right? You've played with their feelings, with their trust. That is to delude someone. So hence the connection with play, right? To deceive. Elude. When, let's say, I say, you know what, peace eludes me these days. That means peace escapes me these days. So elude is when something escapes you. It's like it's playing hide and seek with you, right? It escapes you. So that is to elude. I could also say that the criminal eluded the police. So I can also use it in a literal sense. The criminal eluded the police. If I said peace eludes me these days, then I'm using it in a poetic sense, right? आगे समझ? Yes, Arman, you're right. It's collaborating secretly. So these are our 4 words, all of which come from the root ludere, which means to play. Okay. Now, look at this. We have very similar words here. which can confuse you. I want you to choose the correct one for this blank. I've got 1, 4. What else? Okay. 1, 4, 1. All right. Okay, so 3 1s, 1 4 1 2. What about others? Yes. बाकी सब क्या कर रहे हैं आज? 21 of you in the session right now, and I've got what? 5 responses. Yes. So try. See, there's no negative marking here, right? So it's okay. Don't be afraid that you'll give something, you'll give me an answer that is incorrect. That's absolutely fine. Okay. The dash stones have resisted atmospheric influences. That means these stones have remained in their original state. They have resisted atmospheric influences. So what kind of stones would they be? Okay. How many words do you know the meaning of here? Yes. Good. All right. All of you are giving me the correct answer now. Have you checked the meanings? Good, good, good. Factitious is the answer. Now, facile. When something is facile, it is superficial. Okay. It is insincere and superficial. So, for instance, if I say, I went to the party and she met me in such a facile manner. She greeted me in such a facile manner, or she gave me a facile greeting. That means it was very superficial, right? So, done, fac means to do or done. To do or done. So, this is something that is done very superficially. Upar se, right? So, now can you see that fac and fact? Here also we have fac and fact, although we have it here also, but this does not share the same root. So English is not science. You might think, oh, if this has the meaning to do or done, then this should also have this meaning, but it's not that scientific, because roots have come from various languages, and the same word in a different language can have a slightly different meaning, right? So factitious, sorry, first let's talk about factious. What is a faction? Faction. A small group within a larger group that disagrees with the larger group. So you make. See, it means to make also, to do, to make. You make your own group within a larger group that disagrees with the larger group. So that is a faction, right? This happens in various political parties. Okay, so in AAP also this happened some time back. Some years back, I would say, when, let's say, Yogendra Yadav and the others, they didn't agree with Arvind Kejriwal, and then they went on to make their own, set up their own institution of sorts called Swarajya Andolan, right? So that was a faction. Okay, now factious. Factious means intended to promote dissent within the larger group. When a smaller group promotes dissent in a larger group, promotes, let's say, disagreements in a larger group, that is called factious in nature. Okay, so it's a very interesting word, very politically relevant word. You will encounter it in various newspapers. Okay. Now, what is factitious? Factitious means done or made manually. Something that is done or made by humans. It doesn't occur in nature. So done or made, I could say artificially. That's what I should say. That is factitious. Now, here these stones must be factitious, right? Out of these other words, it's only this one that fits. Because see, they have resisted atmospheric influences. So probably they're not natural stones, they're artificial stones. And that is why they have resisted atmospheric influences. So 4 is the answer here, not 3, not 1. अब देखते हैं ये दोनों, fractious and facetious. What do these words mean? Fractious. Does it remind you of a fraction? If it does, good. See, what exactly is a fraction? Basically, we have divided a number into parts. Yes, that's when we get a fraction. So the idea of division, the idea of a division is very prominent in fraction. So fractious means someone who is always ready to fight. This person will always, want some division of sorts in the group. So basically, the idea is this of division, but we have taken it to the level of fighting or to the level of disagreements, and that's why when we see someone who's very quarrelsome, जो हमेशा लड़ता ही रहता है, उसको हम fractious बोलते हैं, right? Someone who is quarrelsome. And facetious, it's I really like this word. When you are jocular, when you're joking, and you're joking in a very irreverent way, in a disrespectful way, such that it may offend someone. So basically joking at someone's expense. This happens when friends also meet up. One friend would joke at the other's expense and then people would laugh, right? It's all friendly banter. So such jokes can be called facetious jokes. Such humor can be called facetious humor. Okay, you are being jocular in a slightly disrespectful way, irreverent way. Okay? I hope this makes sense. Any query, please ask. So we've talked about the root fac. Okay, it means to do, done, to make. We've talked about the root frac, which means division. And we've talked about this word facetious, which means to joke in an irreverent way. All right. Look at this question now. 5 options this time. And again, you'll notice that there is some common root here that we are discussing. No, it's not coming face to face, Ishank. I understand why you would have related it to confrontation, but it's basically joking at someone's expense, joking in an irreverent way. Right? Okay, Ishank has already answered. He says 1. Others? Okay, you say transgress. All right. One, 3, 1. Okay. Mostly once. Yes? Good. See, gress means to move. Gress means to move. It's a root that means to move. So ingress, move in, it means entry. So the building was sealed and all entry or dash of the pass outs was prohibited. So all an ingress or dash would what? Exit basically. The word I'm looking for is exit. That word is egress. E means out. Okay, gress means to move. So exit is egress, point of egress. Now, I understand why some of you must have thought transgress. See, transgress is anyway a prohibited activity. Transgress means to violate some rules. To violate some rules. That is when you transgress. So, a transgression, I think you may have heard the noun transgression. A transgression means when you violate some law, you violate some rule, you violate some accepted norms of the society. That's when it is treated as a transgression. Okay, so it could be the law, it could be simply a rule of your institution, let's say, It could also be an accepted norm in the society, the way people are expected to behave. So when you violate any of these, it's called a transgression. So here transgress is anyway something that is prohibited. So we'll not use it and then write again prohibited. It has to be egress, right? Then digress is die. You move away. So when you digress, let's say from your path, let's say you're going to point B from point A, but then you take a detour, or let's say you forget the way, so you have digressed. This is the literal meaning. In life also, we may digress from the correct path. Okay, so let's say the right thing to do would be to take action A, but if I am tempted to take action B, which is not a good action, I have digressed from my correct path. Okay, so used literally also and metaphorically also. Regress. So if I call a measure regressive, again you must have heard this word, regressive. This is such a regressive measure. We say this. So regressive means when you go back. So if I talk about the US's law that banned abortion, right? This was a very regressive law. It's like going back in time. It pushed us back in time. It was so backward. So regress means to go backward. Go backwards. Right? Progress, go forward. Okay, to move forward is progress. So this is how you could relate these words to their roots. So you are right. You are saying, Aman, that you thought that the trans in transgress was related to transport. You're right. So in transport also, what does it mean? Port means to carry, right? Trans means through. So you are carried through one place to the other. Transgress, when you move through, in a way you pass through, you go around or you pass through what is considered accepted, what is considered the law, that is transgress. So they are the same prefixes. You are right. Okay. All right. So the answer here is 1 and not 3. Good attempt though. Now, tell me the answer for this one. Slightly tricky. Okay. So I've got 4, 1 and 5. What else? 5 again. Okay. So could be a slightly tricky question. I understand. But it's good that you have attempted. Some of you have attempted it. What about others? Hanji. Not only did most lawmakers support dash laws in the late 19th century, but so not only did this happen, but this also happened. That's what I'm trying to say. So this also happened and this happened as well. I'm emphasizing on this part a little more. But interracial relationships were not accepted by a majority of Americans in general in opinion polls until the 1990s. So what am I saying here? I'm saying something about interracial relationships, basically with people who come from relationships between people who come from different races. For instance, let's say one partner is black, one partner is white. So it's an interracial relationship. Okay. One partner is Asian, one partner is American, interracial relationship. So they were not accepted by a majority of Americans until the 1990s. So that means the word that I'm looking for has to do something with interracial relationships. This much I can be sure about. So some common words here that we know the meanings of. I think these are pretty common. Genocide, carcinogenic, indigenous. Indigenous is something that is native to our country. Native to our place. It could be our city, our country, etc. So basically native to a region. The region could be a city, a state, a country, etc. So gen, to be born. Indi means within that place. So it's native to that place. Right? So for instance, a lot of states have their indigenous fruits. Fruits that you would find there only and not anywhere else. Okay. Then carcinogenic is again a word that you may have heard because of the current discussion that is going around, that keeps on going around plastic. So for instance, plastic can be carcinogenic. There are a lot of substances in processed foods that we eat that could be carcinogenic, right? Then exposure to UV rays is carcinogenic. So what is carcinogenic? Okay. Cancer. Okay. So carcinogen. Gen means birth. Okay. Something that can give birth to cancer. Something that can cause cancer. That can cause cancer. Okay. I have a comment here. Let me just read it. C. Okay. It's absolutely okay. I have chosen slightly tricky questions today. Okay. So it's fine if you've not got them correct. Now, what you have to see though is, were you close? Right? Did you choose an option that was close enough? So for instance, there I said egress and transgress. I understand you're marking transgress. So did you choose transgress there? So this is how we have to analyze our mistakes. We have to see, were we close? If we didn't get it right, why did we not get it right? In this question, for instance, did you pay attention to the context, the surrounding words? Did you see that, okay, this is about interracial relationships, so there has to be a connection there. If you did, you made your best effort, right? Now, what else then can you do? Because see, in case you saw this, these words here and still you got it wrong, that means you do not know the meanings of certain words here. How can we do that? How can we navigate this? There are so many word lists out there to help us. So many word books, vocabulary books that can help us. And if we do not have the time for all of those, we can always practice some vocabulary questions like you're practicing with me now. Think of this time when you practice those questions as your learning time. So students come to me after taking vocabulary topic tests. So there are some free tests on our app also, BYJU'S exam prep app. So they come to me after taking the test and they tell me, ma'am, moderate to difficult वाले तो नहीं है हमारे से अच्छे से नहीं हो रहे, सही नहीं हो रहे. That's absolutely fine. That's your learning time. You're learning new words through those quizzes, through those tests, right? So practice a lot of vocabulary questions from your previous year papers, from your topic tests. So this is the least that all of us can do. Okay. Now, we have eliminated carcinogenic because I don't think we're talking about cancer. Genocide. Side, suicide, pesticide, insecticide. Side means to kill. Gen. Somebody who was born in a particular race. This happens, racial killings. For instance, the Rohingya crisis, the Rohingya community that was targeted in Myanmar. What was that? It was a genocide. So genocide is killing of people from a particular race, religion, etc. because you want to end that race, because you want to end that religion. So that act is called a genocide. Mass killings of people based on race, religion, etc. So are we talking about that? We're talking about interracial relationships, people who are in a relationship with each other. So lawmakers would never support genocide. That would be very extreme. Unless, let's say, and we're talking about America here, we're not even talking about any dictatorial country and, a despotic country. We're not talking about such countries here. So, genocide, carcinogenic, ये तो पक्का आंसर नहीं है. Okay. Now, primogeniture, miscegenation. Let's look at this. Primogeniture. So, recently, the Queen died, right? The Queen of England, the Queen, and who was anointed as the prince, who was anointed as the king. The prince was anointed as the king, right? Their son. Finally, Prince Charles was anointed as the king. So, in case you read articles of that time, they did mention this word primogeniture. Anybody who knows the meaning? Primogeniture. So, the rule that exists in most kingdoms is that the first prime, okay, primitive, primary, prim means the one that is first, the one that comes first. Primitive people came first, right? Gen means born. So primogeniture is this rule, okay, that your firstborn child, will become the king or the queen. Your firstborn will rule. That condition, that rule is called primogeniture. So are we talking about that here? Prim means first, okay? So primary colors are the most important colors. They come first in the list of colors. Prime numbers are considered to be more important than the other numbers. So that's why they're called prime numbers. So primogeniture bhi answer nahi hai, because we are not talking about some rule here, some royalty here. So 3 options I have automatically eliminated. We are left with these 2. So anybody who answered 4, miscegenation. Miscegenation. Yes, some of you did. Arman said 4. Then Ronaldo artist said 4. Angela said 4. And you guys are absolutely correct. The answer is not 5 but 4. Why? Miscegenation, actually, it's a derogatory word. You shouldn't use it now. For earlier, for interracial relationships, we use this word miscegenation. Mis means mix, miscible. So this is, we say that this is a miscible substance. Okay, so that means it can be mixed in water, it can be mixed in a liquid. So mis means mix, gen means born. So when we say that your children will be mixed race children, or you have mixed 2 races, okay, mix the races, that's when we call it miscegenation. So miscegenation was earlier used, it was a term used for interracial relationships, okay, and it was considered a derogatory word. So not only did most lawmakers support miscegenation laws, there were laws that prohibited people from one race to actually be in a relationship with people from another race. Imagine. Okay, so in the late 19th century, we had such laws. And there were laws also, and people also did not accept. So law to allow karta hi nahi tha, but logon ka bhi support nahi tha. That's what I'm saying. So there was no support of the law, there was no support of the people. Okay. Now, indigenous is something that is native to a particular place. So not only did most lawmakers support indigenous laws, see, this is not as contextually fit here as in this word that talks about interracial relationships. Moreover, our laws, we would call them national laws. Let's say if I'm talking about the laws of my particular nation or state laws, we rarely use the term indigenous for laws. We can use it for some plant, we can use it for some product that is made in your city, your state only, but rarely would I use it with laws. So no, 4 is the answer. And now you see, this was a difficult question. Those of you who were getting disheartened, this was indeed a difficult question. आज मैं difficult questions कर रहे हैं. Miss in miscarriage is different from this. Yes, miss in miscarriage is different from this. So here we mean that here it it's a negative prefix, just like when we say misogyny, it's a negative prefix. So basically it could mean not actually when there's a loss, right? So here it could mean that you were carrying it but you are no longer carrying the baby. So probably it means not here, but definitely it's different from this miss, because this miss is, it comes from miscible wala miss. Mix, इसका meaning mix है, इसका meaning not नहीं है, right? Negative meaning नहीं है. Okay, so I hope this is clear and we can go to the next question. Which of the word is closest in meaning to the underlined word? Yes, tell me. कौन सा closest है? Okay, what do you say? 1 is what you say. All right. Read the word carefully. We need to disaggregate. We need to disaggregate the demographic data to get better insights. So currently it is all aggregated. Currently it is all mixed up. We need to disaggregate. So what do we need to do really? We need to segregate. Why is 1 the answer? Good, Ronaldo. So 4 is the answer and not 1. See, disaggregate means to separate something that is right now in a collective form, right now in a grouped form. Gregis means group. So you can see this Greg here, Greg, that is present in these, not in this, but in all the others. This means group or a flock. Again, you must have seen this in word power made easy, those who've done it. So disaggregate, उसको group से अलग करना है. What is desegregate? A very interesting word. Something that was segregated earlier, now you are collecting it. Okay, now you are mixing it back. That is desegregate. Okay, so it actually means to bring something together. Desegregation is often used in a legal context. Sorry, I've written the wrong spelling. Desegregation. So desegregation laws. Earlier, there was this rampant discrimination against blacks in quite a few Western societies, right? So, for instance, the USA. The USA, therefore, actively, when it abolished slavery, when it finally repealed some of those discriminatory laws, what it did was, it also brought out some other laws that, for instance, earlier blacks and whites used to sit separately in a bus. The blacks would sit on a seat that came towards the end, right? So desegregation laws then prohibited such activities because they wanted blacks and whites to assimilate in the society. They wanted them to interact with each other in the society. So such laws were called desegregation laws, laws that prohibited such discrimination. ठीक है? So desegregate का meaning तो different ही हो गया. It's in fact the opposite of 1. Aggregate, no. Okay, we want a similar word. Segregate is the word. Exaggerate is not related here. I just gave it because it is similar sounding, so I wanted to confuse you a little. That's it. That was my only purpose. ठीक है? So segregate. Gregis means group or flock. Now, look at this. Match the following question here and tell me what the answer is. Last question for the day. Tell me, क्या answer है? Docile. Someone who's docile. Indoctrination. Docent and doctored. Clearly the root is doc. Actually, to be more precise, it's docer. Hanji, बताओ जल्दी जल्दी, what has happened to you guys? आज तो सभी ऐसा लग रहा है बहुत ही लेजी हो रहे हैं. Yes, why is that the case? Okay, Ronaldo says 3. Others? So, Sonali says 2. Okay. Anmol 3. Pranav says 1 or 4. Saket and Tarun say 2. Okay. So, even if you know the meaning of one word here, you can always eliminate options. So, for me, if you ask me, indoctrination was a pretty easy word and docile was also something that I had heard at other places. So, when we are docile, let's say if I'm a docile person, that means that I am very easily influenced. I'll obey you very easily. I'm very pliant, flexible, obedient, that kind of a person. So that's docile for you. So that means I'm definitely not perverted. Yes. I'm not a lecturer. So we are able to eliminate 2 options here. Lecturer goes out of the window. Just a second. lecturer goes out of the window, perverted goes out of the window. We're left with A and C. Proselytizing and tractable. So here, out of these two, tractable is the answer for docile, because to proselytize someone is again to indoctrinate them, to impart them with some religious teachings, right? To and this is intended to convert you into that religion. So that is proselytizing. So docile is tractable. One is C, and if you know this, you know that either 2 or 3 is the answer. So it's either 2 or 3. Now 2 is the same for both of them. Indoctrination is proselytizing, and you know, in all of the options, in fact, it was the same. So you need not have guessed actually. जैसे मैंने आपको बताया इंडोक्ट्रिनेशन का मीनिंग प्रोसेलिटाइजिंग है, आपको वो खुद ही पता चल जाता है ऑप्शन से. सो इट वाज एन इजी क्वेश्चन दैट वे. देन 3 is D or B. That's what we have to decide. Docent. Okay, when who is a docent? It's a noun actually. You know, usually your junior lecturers, your ad hoc lecturers, they are called docents. So 3 is D, and 4, therefore, doctored tapes. Right, this issue has come up a lot, that their photograph was doctored. So this happened recently. So the sports persons who were protesting, their photograph was doctored to show that they were smiling when they were not smiling in reality. So doctored is when you make changes to something, when you in a way adulterate it, right? When you in a way pervert it. Perverted is something that's impure. So 4 is B, and that's why 2 is our answer. Excellent. Those who said 2, Sonali said it the fastest, then followed by Saket, Tarun, Vanshika, Satyam, Anjila. Absolutely correct. आगे समझ सबको. Doc. अच्छा, what is the meaning of this root? It means to teach. So you can easily teach a docile person. बहुत जल्दी से वो सीख लेगा, जो भी आप उसको सिखाओगे accept भी कर लेगा. Indoctrination, you give religious teachings to someone because you want them to, let's say, convert. You want to fulfill some agenda out of it. It's a negative word. Okay, docent, somebody who teaches. Doctored, so here there is no direct relationship, I would say, with the word taught. Okay, it's just that you have modified it. Okay, you have modified it. So that's a doctored tape. It takes some amount of skill there, right? That's why perhaps it's related to docere. Okay, so these were some words for the day, and I understand some of them were new for you, or some of the questions were tricky. So why don't you revise them over the weekend, right? And try to use them also. Try to see their usage, how they're used in sentences. I think that will help you tremendously. Okay, so this is it from my side for today. And in case you want to know how we teach, our pedagogy, our materials, and the timings, okay, the frequency of classes and all of those things, you can unlock our 3-day free trial access. Right, the link is in the description box. And our test series is now live. You can see that we have a very comprehensive test series that provides you not just CAT mocks but also non-CAT mocks. So 25 plus 55, 10,000 plus practice questions. So there's a lot of material for you. You can subscribe to it. And these are your family members, our CAT 22 toppers, right? So these are just the top 5. We've had a lot more. And very good conversions also, right? Not just percentiles this year. And this is the program that got them there. It can get you also there. So these are the features. The link is in the description box. You can check this out. CAT 23 comprehensive program. To make it accessible for you, we keep conducting scholarship tests, right? The next one is on the 9th at 11 a.m. And yes, so this is an important workshop, because I think knowing the why of what we do in life is very important. Right? Knowing our purpose is very important, because that is what leads to long-term fulfillment. Otherwise, we may be lost even after an MBA. So why should you go for an MBA? Then the process comes later. How can you go for it? Where in your life stage should you go for it? If you want all these answers, then you should come to this workshop on the 16th at 11 a.m. Welcome guys, welcome. And these are our social media handles. Do follow us everywhere. Do download the app. It has a lot of free vocabulary tests also. You can take them. Okay. Welcome. Bye-bye. Tractable is again someone who is very docile, very biddable, very pliant, would listen to you very easily. Okay. So biddable, pliant, tractable, docile, all 4 are synonyms. Okay. All right then. Bye-bye.